Hey everyone, how you doing today? This is CJ Man Studios with your host, me, CJ. First time with YouTube videos, so bear with me on this one, alright? I'm here to kind of just talk about what I like to do and what my videos are mainly going to be about. So for starters, 3D printing. Pretty cool thing out there in the world, and I just kind of discovered it about maybe 2 weeks ago, and trust me when I say it is fun. As you can see here, I got a lot of my creations so far. I just did this one yesterday. This is kind of one of my first painted ones, so I feel like I did a pretty good job. Obviously you guys know what that is, Baby Yoda. What else do I got here? So I got some articulated animals, pretty cool things that you can find on some 3D printed sites. So this is one of the octopuses. Tentacles move all around and everything. You can put it on your finger, kind of spin it around a little bit. I got a cat and I got a lizard. Now, these are my first tries, which I feel like I did a pretty good job at because I even did double colors. First timer, and I did that. I think I did pretty well. Now, most likely, you guys can probably see behind me, we got a machine mover around. That is my 3D printer. I would love to tell you more about it. Let's check it out. Hey guys, I'm back. So, like I was saying, right behind me I got one of my 3D printers in the works. That's right, I said one of them. I actually own 2 3D printers. I got one down below here and one above here. Let's check out the one on the top here. So, here is one of my 3D printers. This is made by Cura. That is not a sponsor. This model 3D printer is one of my favorites so far. This is the CR6 SE model. A lot of reasons to like this one, but I think my top favorite is because it's got a auto level on it. Because some 3D printers actually require you to manually level, such as the one I have down below here. This model is the Ender 3 V2 version. It's not a bad 3D printer though. I will tell you now, it is a very good one to start with. Trust me when I say this is why I got a second one. Because of him. And once you actually get it leveled and everything like that, it's actually not a pain. But sometimes you have to re-level, and that's fine. There's some upgrades out there that you can buy to add auto leveling, but honestly, I tried it, didn't really work out. I'm fine with manually leveling it. Now, this one had the auto level already built onto it, so not gonna complain about it, you know? There's other cool features about it. It's got the dual axis Z-bars here. So my original one down here only has a single axis Z-bar right there. So it's kind of cool to have a dual axis one because it gives you a little bit extra support when it's going up and down, I guess. Another cool feature, this little box here that has a blue light. It's actually a filament, which is this stuff here. I'll talk about that in a minute. Run out detector. So if I read the directions correctly, if that ever runs out, or like say this accidentally broke or something like that, it will pause my print for me automatically so it doesn't ruin it, which I think is very cool. Another cool feature I like about it, it's got a touch LCD screen on it. My original one, again, not complaining about it. It's a manual, so it's got this little turn knob. But again, it's not a bad printer to start with, I promise you. You guys can probably see here that little white thing there and that little white thing there. Yeah, those are my cameras. If you want to get into 3D printing, I suggest getting them. These were only $15 at Walmart a piece. They're powered by a smart app that I have on my phone so I can watch them when I'm not home. Because trust me, when you 3D print, there may be times that things may go wrong. You want to be able to see what's going on with them at all times in case you have to hit that stop button. And I'll explain how that works right now. So, with 3D printing, sometimes, not all the time, so don't panic, but sometimes there could be a bit of a mishap that happens. When you're 3D printing, if you start it and then, for example, start it and then you end up having to go to work or something like that. So you're like, let me get that print started. It's gonna take like 5 hours to do. At least by the time I get home, it should be done and you guys can check it out, have fun with it and stuff like that. Sometimes it doesn't work that way though. You wanna be careful on that. So you definitely wanna give yourself a little bit of time to make sure the print started and it's going pretty smooth. So give yourself like 20 minutes to just kind of keep an eye on it. Obviously, I'm not saying sit there and keep your eye on it the entire time, but every like couple minutes, just go back and check on it, see if it's doing okay. Once you get those next couple layers down, you'll be fine and you should be good to just leave it be. Now, sometimes things happen where it causes like what we call spaghetti mess or stringy mess or whatever people out there want to call that craziness that happens with a 3D print. Basically, what that means is your spot that you had it started at could end up shifting. It did not stick to the bed correctly. The nozzle could have tipped it. Any different things possible. If that happens, it's just extruding onto nothing now. Now it's in thin air and it's gonna make a complete mess. With that being said, you want to be able to stop the print from wherever you're at. But the only way to do that is two different ways. Octoprint, which I don't have yet, and a Creality Wi-Fi box, which I do have. And I'll explain how that works right now. So, right here is Creality's Wi-Fi box that they created for their 3D printers to make them Wi-Fi enabled. Basically, all you gotta do is take one of these USB cables that it comes with and put it inside of here and plug it in basically to a power adapter and it makes the printer Wi-Fi enabled. Now, the Wi-Fi capability is for the app. It's not for the computer program as far as I have discovered because I still haven't figured out how to use it through the computer. So I've used it through the app. It's a big help when you're using it because you can keep track of your print not only through watching it on a camera, but for some reason, say it ended up going south and it ended up doing that whole spaghetti mess that I was talking about, you can stop it from wherever you're at. You do not have to be connected to your home Wi-Fi. You don't have to be at home. You don't have to be in a different room. You literally can be anywhere else as long as you have a data connection on your cell phone and you can stop it and start it any way, shape, or form that you need to. You can even change the temperature settings if you needed to. So say you were watching it and you're like, maybe I could bump up the temperature a little bit more to help it out. You can do all of that. So this little doohickey comes in handy. And like I said, it's only about $15, not even that. So I would give it a check out if you are using a Creality branded 3D printer. I don't know about the other ones, but it definitely helps out. So these little pieces here were part one of what I was just talking about on the 3D printer that's currently running right now that had all those red pieces. These are the actual components that put it together when it's all done, which I find very cool. It made its like literally own nuts and bolts, little wrench and everything for it. Like, that's just awesome. I can't wait for it to be done so I can show you guys the outcome of it. So stay tuned for that. So, like I was saying, 3D printer has a lot of upsides and maybe a couple downsides. But don't let that discourage you because it is still a lot of fun. And if you have the patience You're actually gonna love it. So, with the 3D printers that I have right now, like I was saying, the top model was the CR6 SE version, and the bottom one was the Ender 3 V2. Both of them was made by Creality. Very, very good 3D printer company. But there are lots of 3D printer companies out there, so you can check them out, see which ones you may like. I preferably like the Creality ones. My Ender 3 V2 was my first one. Loved it so much, made me want to get a second one. In a matter of 2.5 weeks altogether, I ended up buying 2 3D printers. Now, you come to say to yourself, what do I need a 3D printer for? Am I just gonna sit there and make little figurines, make little toys that move and stuff like that? No. I've made a couple things that are actually pretty productive and I use for everyday use. For starters, I made my fiance a cup holder adapter for her car. She has one of those Nalgene cups, I guess you could call them, and they're so big, they don't fit into a standard cup holder. So I got creative and made my very first custom cup holder adapter. Now, another thing that I made was, trust me when I say, very helpful for 3D printing purposes, and I'll explain. So, right here, I custom designed a little tool holder for everything I need for a 3D printer. You got alcohol, glue sticks, I'll explain that in a minute. Down here below, these are the nozzles that they use for 3D printers. Basically all the tools, not the paintbrushes, I just put them in there recently because Baby Yoda. I got some pens in here. I tend to need them sometimes because I'm writing down measurements and stuff like that so I don't forget them. And then another trusty tool to have is a caliper. If you're doing 3D printing, you might want to pick one of these up. I got this from AutoZone for like 10 bucks. It's a digital one. I prefer the digital over the manual ones, but maybe you're more hands-on with those kind of things and can deal with the manual. I can't. I need digital. That's just how I am. I'm more modern. Little pry tool, help you get it off the plate and everything. I'll explain all of these in just a moment. Okay, so first things first. 91% alcohol. You want to have this because when you're done doing 3D prints, you always want to clean your plate very, very, very nicely. Okay? You want it to be nice and clean for your next print. If you leave the residue and everything like you saw on my second printer after it was done making all these tiny little pieces, it's not a good idea to print over top of that. You should always thoroughly clean it after you're done. Just get a regular old rag, doesn't matter. Throw some of that on there, wipe it down, nice and clean, let it dry, and then you're ready for the next print. Now, I said you're ready. There might be some tips and tricks that you might end up coming across that's going to help you because you may end up facing what I did the first time, and that's called bed adhesion. Let me tell you about it. So, bed adhesion is basically exactly as I say it. The platform that the 3D printer prints on is called a bed. It's also called a heat bed, a heat plate. Many different names, many different things. There's many different kinds of heat plates, heat beds out there that different 3D printers use. Some use glass, some use metal, some use magnetic, some use strange materials that I can't even say their names because I don't know them offhand. But I have a glass bed, and to help with the adhesion problem a little bit better, Elmer's glue sticks. Literally, I got 40 of these, 4D, for $5 off of Amazon. Not a sponsor. Just grab some of that, literally put it all over the plate. If you're making something smaller, just try to give an eyeball of where it's going to print at on your plate. Throw some of that on there, get it going. I promise you it's going to help you so much. You're going to save so much like filament, because if you just try to keep doing it, sometimes it's not going to stick well, and that's going to waste your filament, and you're going to want to pull your hair out. But please, I'm going to say this many times in this video, be patient. 3D printing is a patient thing, but once you get the hang of it, you will love it. I promise you that. Hey, you came to my video for a reason. You checked it out for a reason. You want a 3D printer. Now you just gotta take your time, figure it out, and then you'll see what happens. Let me explain some of my other tools now. So, what I have here, 2 different kind of pry tools, because both printers came with them. This one came with the Ender 3 V2. This one came with the CR6 SE. Kind of like this one because it's a little bit nicer. It's got that nice cool wooden handle on it. But I ain't judging this one either. Comes in handy a lot when I'm trying to get my things off, because trust me when I say, with the glue, you're never gonna have a problem with it sticking. But when it's done, sometimes you might have an issue getting it off. Be patient now. You'll get it, trust me. Just go a little bit underneath of it, pry very carefully. Now those tiny parts you want to be very cautious on. If you're using supports or anything like that, just be very careful when you're trying to pry it back off, because you don't want to break it in the long run, because then you're like, oh my god, I wasted 4 hours printing this and I just broke it. Be patient. You'll get it off. There's many tips and tricks out there that help you. Some people say heat it up a little bit and it'll pop off. Some people say run cold water under a glass bed. You just gotta try a couple different things, but you'll end up getting it off, don't worry. And if, for any reason, shape, or form, it ends up breaking, don't just grab it and toss it. Really look at it like, can I fix this? Because trust me when I say, super glue comes in handy. Let me explain. This piece was actually broken when I took it off. This and this ended up breaking apart. Threw some super glue on it, bud. Put it right back together. Patience. Patience is key. Patience is key. All you need is a little patience, and 3D printing will help you big time. Let's show you what else I got. So, these little tools are basically kind of what they look like. They're little cutters, basically. They're not wire cutters. They are what I just call them filament cutters. They're actually meant for the filament. It's meant to cut it, and when you're loading filament into your 3D printer, you want to cut it at like a 45-degree angle. You don't want to cut like a straight cut. Sometimes it has trouble going inside the extruder, which is the part that basically allows the filament to go inside the machine and come out onto the bed. So when you're using them, you just want to cut it at like a 45-degree angle. Helps you big time. They also help you with removing supports, any stuck pieces, anything like that. These help you get it off. Now, they are sharp, be very careful, but also don't go crazy just being like, okay, let's go inside. You may end up breaking your 3D print in the long run. So, what did I say the first time? What did I say a million times? Patience is key. Patience is key. A little bit of patience, your print's gonna come out extremely well. So, now we're to the point where you're probably asking, how do I do all of this, you know? Can I just go in there and say, hey, make this, make that? Doesn't work that way. There's a lot of settings you gotta worry about, a lot of key features you gotta look into and everything like that. Luckily, they make a program when you download the 3D printer software from the flash drives and the SD cards that it provides with it. you can use the system software called Cura, which helps you with your 3D prints. You can kind of preview everything on the computer right before it starts to print. And don't be alarmed. If you don't have a computer, you can do it through your phone, but you do require an additional accessory, which is Creality's Wi-Fi box. It's only about $15, doesn't hurt to get. I have one myself. I did not get a second one yet for the other 3D printer, but I tend to do everything more on the computer. I found it a lot more easier that way, but some people are different. They prefer to do it mobile, which is fine. But again, I prefer it on my computer. Now, I thought I'd give you a kind of quick glance to see what that's all about. So let's check it out. So I thought I'd give you guys a little bit of a quick demo on it. This is Cura. So I added one of my 3D printed finds that I got off of one of the websites. I forget which website this one was, but this is a flexible elephant. I haven't made this one yet. I'm actually probably going to be doing this one next after that project's done. But let me zoom in a little bit here, show you guys a little bit of a preview of it. Oh, sorry. Yeah, this is the Flexi Fant, they call it. So you can see here, it's got some articulated attachments, so the nose moves, and most likely the legs and the head might wobble a little bit too. Not 100% sure yet, so I can't wait to try that out. But right here, I have it set to my Creality CR6 SE. Let me change that to the Ender 3V2, because most likely that's the one I'm going to be printing it on. Now, there's a reason I changed it, is because they have two different settings on it, and their G codes are a little bit different. So after we got everything like on the plate, we're gonna hit the slice here, and give it a second or two. It takes a moment to slice it. Depending on the size of the actual figure, it could take longer, or it could take only like a minute. So it's almost there. Give it just a moment. Patience is key, everybody. Patience is key. I think that's the title of this video today. Patience is key. Alright, so right here, you can see it says 4 hours and 38 minutes. That is exactly how long it's going to take for this one to print. Down below, it also says 30 grams or 10.01 meters. That's exactly the amount of filament it would be using. So if you invest in one of those filament scales, you can kind of tell like, oh, do I have that much filament on this roll? Or if you have a fresh roll, you got no worries at all. So after that, we were just, we're gonna hit preview here. So right here, you can kind of see what's going on. Let me open my box here so I can show you my settings. So let's let me close all of these for a minute so I can kind of go from top to bottom so you guys can kind of understand a little bit. So the quality, I never really touch that. It kind of automatically does it because the print, when I add it into the system, it automatically kind of has some settings on it. The ones I kind of worry about the most are like material. This has your temperature and your build plate. 205 and 55 are like common for PLA, which is the filament that I use mostly. There's a lot of different filaments out there, but I usually use PLA. But on them, they usually tell you what temperatures they need. So just kind of look at them, and you might have to trial and error with your printer sometimes to make sure it's the correct temperature. And sometimes it might take you a try or two, but you'll get it, don't worry. Another one is support. So this one, it does not need support because it's all laying down. So technically I don't need to add support. So you see how it changed back to gray? That's because I removed this setting. And last but not least, the build plate adhesion. So I have skirt set up, and I'll explain that to you right now so you understand what that means. So the build plate adhesion is a couple different kinds. You got skirt, you got brim, and you got raft. Skirt and brim are the top two I usually use. I rarely use raft at all. I think I used it once, maybe. but I'll explain skirt to you. So skirt is basically, let me exit this out and slice it so I can kind of explain it a little bit. So while that's slicing, I'll try to explain it, but once the picture shows up, I can kind of make it better. But skirt is basically an outline all around where it's going to print at, and it's going to do that basically as many times as I ask it to do it. So I have it set to skirt 6. Sometimes I change it depending on how big the object might be. So let me show you right here. There it is. So this lining right around the object, that is called a skirt. A skirt helps you because it's gonna extrude some filament out of the machine before it gets to the actual part of the print itself. So right here, it's gonna go around this about 6 times because I set it to 6. So it's getting that amount of filament out of the machine so it's ready, it's all primed, it's ready to go, and now it's gonna go onto the actual print itself. So this one, it's only 145 layers. And let me bring that down so I can kind of show you guys how this is all done. It's actually pretty cool how the system does it, but you can kind of play it out yourself and see where it's going to go, when it's going to go. Okay, so now we got our 6 lines. Now it looks like it's going to start on the legs, now the body, back leg, forward legs, now it's going with the head. Basically what it's doing there, that's the first layer. And first layers are always the best. You want to make sure you get that first layer out because trust me, once you get the first layer, then all of this is going to be a breeze. So that's basically what it's about with the skirt. Now, for example, if I did a brim, a brim is a little bit different. Give that a moment. Dun, 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 dun. So you can see here, a brim is basically almost the same concept as a skirt, but instead of just the lines, it actually will fill in that entire bottom there. So when this prints, it's going to print directly on top of it, which is not a bad thing. And actually, as I'm saying this now, I remember exactly. Mr. Octopus. I had to print him with a brim because he was very difficult to just print as himself because when it starts, the bottom are so tiny that it needed a brim. Like there was no ifs, ands, or buts. So I'll show you underneath here. So it would literally fill in all of this. So these pieces here, these like right there, right there, right there, they will stick down so much better with a brim on it. So is a brim bad? No. No, it's not. But do you need a brim all the time? No, you don't. Skirts are fine as well. Well, that's pretty much what I have to offer so far. Like I said, this is going to be my first video on YouTube, so bear with me on it, guys. I feel like I did okay, but give me some comments, down below. Let me know, is there anything I could improve on? Is there anything I can do to make this video more interesting to you guys? I know I talked a lot about 3D printing, but it's really becoming a passion of mine, and I'm kind of enjoying it so much that I felt like, hey, what better than to be myself and just talk about something I enjoy. So obviously there's going to be more to it. I obviously did not cover all the parts on 3D printing, but I covered what I could think of, showed you guys a little bit of a preview, showed you guys what I'm working with, showed you guys some of my creations. I had a lot of fun doing this. But again, honestly, if you guys have any comments at all, let me know. Give me some ideas that I can use to better improve my videos on, because I would love to. On that note, hit that like button, subscribe, let me know. Yeah, that's it. All of you guys have a great night. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace.